I have worked for 30-plus years in law enforcement, and as I was contemplating running for DA, I felt it very important for our office to evaluate how, if at all, race played a part in any decision-making in our office. So when I ran for office, I determined that this is something I would examine, and I reached out to Vera shortly after I was elected because I knew of Vera by its reputation in New York. And fundamentally, I think if you are a major city prosecutor today, there has to be transparency in a number of things that wouldn't be transparent years ago. One is, how do you handle issues of wrongful convictions? What is the process by which you ensure that decision-making on cases is as good as it can be at the front end, and how do you handle reinvestigations? Another issue, of course, was to what degree does race play a role in the criminal justice system and in our prosecutors' thinking? That's why I reached out to Vera, and I'm very glad we did. I think the report was important for us, and I think it will be important for us going forward. The major challenges of undertaking this report and study were logistical initially. Vera came into our office for more than 2 years, had their own space in our office, had access to prosecuting attorneys to interview them, had access to hundreds of thousands of case files, electronic, and also many paper files. And so there was a big logistical process that had to be worked through. But more importantly, I think there was a relationship of mutual trust and commitment to achieve an end product that we could both stand behind. And so that is a challenge. First of all, no one had come into our office before and undertaken such a review, or frankly, in very many prosecutors' offices around the country. So it took time for the staff of Vera and our folks to get to know each other. But once that happened, I think both from a procedural standpoint and a personal standpoint, the project worked very well. The report was finalized several months ago. And the question, obviously, was what does this tell us and what do we do about it? When we looked at the results of the report, it identified several areas where we clearly wanted to study further. There was disparity. It's now impossible to know exactly what the cause of it was, whether it was procedural and legal issues or whether it was something else. But number one, it's now led us to try to understand better going forward what we want to do in the areas where disparity was found. Secondly, it's enabling us to run the data sets again soon, using our own data over the last 2 years, because the Vera report actually had data from 2010 to 2012, and to see how the office is moved at all in those areas over the last 2 years. But third, it made me realize that we needed in our office to address the question of subliminal bias and to have an open conversation about what that is, to make sure that our office understands better how it can impact any person's, but also a prosecutor's decision-making, and not be afraid of addressing important questions that had not previously been addressed at an office-wide level.